another tutorial. Today's tutorial is GarageBand. I'm going to show you how to create a podcast. So what we're going to do is we're going to record the podcast. I'm going to show you how to edit, and then I'm going to show you how to export it to MP3, and then we're going to stop right there. And then I'm going to do a part 2 a little bit later that's going to show you how to actually attach your album art and do your ID3 tags and all that jazz. But that'll be part 2. So before we get to that, let's learn how to actually use GarageBand. So here we go. Opening up GarageBand. And before there was actually a podcast icon, but now Apple was nice enough to remove it for us. Thanks, Apple. But let's go ahead and hit an empty project because we can work around the limitations there. And first thing you want to do is make sure your inputs are correct. So I am recording on this AT2005 USB, which is an Audio-Technica. Links in the description in my resources. It'll say resources, what I use. The output, I want it to be the speakers in my Mac here. So we're good to go there. But if you had to change it, you can just click the arrow, and then you get the ability to actually, choose what you want in the input and in the output. But for now, mine is all ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up here. And then we're going to create. Okay. Depending on what you did last time you were inside the app, this library might be open. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide that library for now. We'll worry about that in a second. Couple things you want to do before you start recording is turn off the count in here and make sure there's nothing in purple highlighted here. Another thing I like to do is I like to go to the music note and turn it to time. I don't care about beats per minute. I just want to know how long I've been recording and things like that. Okay. So we have one audio track here, and I like to actually have 3. What you're going to do is go to track. We're going to add a new one. And if everything looks the same as it was, go ahead and just hit create, and it'll give you an identical track. And I'll do one more here. Okay. And again, I'm going to hide the library. I don't need that right now. So what I'm going to do is the first track is going to be my intro, and the last track will be my outro. So let me go ahead and rename this. Intro. And we'll call this, come on, wake up. Wake up. We'll call this outro. And we'll call this main. Okay, so we're good to go here. Now, I like to actually record the podcast before I bring any of the intro or the outro music in. And I usually do the majority of my editing, and then the last things I do are add the intro and add the outro. So I'm going to record a little bit of random podcast here on the main track. So we'll make sure we're selected on that main track. And I'm going to hit the record button. Okay. So we got a problem here. It says no input source selected. And you'll have this every once in a while. It's really irritating because I just set the input source and now it's not, there is no source. Okay, when you're stuck at this position, when it's telling you, oh, there's no input source, first thing you do is stop the recording. Yeah, we know there's no input source. And you hit this little dial here, Smart Controls. And then you go down to the bottom here where there's an eye, where it shows the inspector. And now it'll give you the ability to actually choose the source and also set that recording level, which it pretty much defaulted to what the system settings are. Sometimes the mic is already automatically there. Sometimes you have to come in here and set it. It seems to have a mind of its own, actually. On 3 occasions, no problem. I just hit record and it used the mic that I set in the beginning. But in a couple other occasions, I actually had to go in here and set it. So to get to these, you actually click on the Smart Controls and then again go click on the information thing here. Okay. And there is the ability to actually control this stuff here, but I'm not touching anything yet. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hide those controls. But I do want to actually view my editor down at the bottom. And this gives you just a better, bigger view of the waveform, the audio waveform at the bottom. So now, in theory, we should be ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and start at the beginning. I'm on this track, and I should have the right mic selected. So let's go ahead and record a podcast. Here we go. Hey, how's it going, folks? ET here. You're tuned to the awesome YouTube podcast. We podcast about YouTube. Nothing but YouTube, day, night, 24/7, around the clock. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Okay, so I put those extra sounds because I want to show you how to edit. So let's go ahead and stop the recording by either hitting the square stop button or the space bar, and I always use the space bar. Okay, so we have a 28-second recording. Like iMovie or most editing software, there's a tape head. You can click, left click and hold, and kind of move around to where you need to go. So let's have a quick listen here. Hey, how's it going, folks? ET here. You're tuned to the awesome YouTube podcast. We podcast about YouTube. Nothing but YouTube, day, night, 24/7, around the clock. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Okay, so I can see in the waveform exactly where my sounds are, at the top and bottom. You can do either one. So once the clip is selected, just like iMovie or any other editing software, you want to kind of split it. And you can go to Edit and then Split Regions at Playhead, which is Command T. So that's the shortcut right there, your Command T. So either click here or do the Command T on the keyboard. I prefer the keyboard shortcuts, but for this demonstration, I'll go ahead and just click here. Okay, so now I'm going to use the space bar to push play. And then I'm going to stop. The tape head stops. So I'm going to do the keyboard shortcut this time. It'll be the Command T. So now that little clip in the middle is my cough. My fake cough. Ready? Okay, so now I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to hit the delete key to get rid of it. And if you want to move the other piece, you can do that, or you can leave that space there. Up to you, depending on the timing of the last thing you said and the timing of the next thing you said. You might want to leave a little space there to make it more sound a little bit more natural, but up to you and up to the recording you're doing at that time. So if you remember from my wonderful podcast I just recorded, there's actually a couple more weird sounds on here that I'm going to edit out. Okay, so I put those extra sounds because I want to show you how to edit. Okay, so let's get rid of... Okay, we'll stop here. I got the tape head exactly where I want it. Clip is going to be highlighted. I'm going to do this time I'll use the old menu item, Split Regions at Playhead. And now I can get rid of this one here. We're going to delete that. And we're going to move that closer. There we go. Okay, I think I got rid of all the stuff in here. Show you how to edit. So let's go ahead and stop the recording by either hitting the square stop button or the space bar, and I always use the space bar. Okay, so that's good enough. Good enough for today's recording. Okay, so now we actually have to put an intro and an outro. We have our intro clip here, intro track here, not clip. Intro track here, and then outro track at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the clip here on both of them, and I'm going to move them over. Probably give it like 10 seconds for now, and then I'll fine tune it a little bit later after I import a loop or something or intro music. So GarageBand is pretty awesome because it comes with a nice big pack of sounds, and you can buy more if you go to the Apple store as well. But the pack that it comes with is pretty good. Don't think I've upgraded. If I have, it might have been just like Beats or something. But you go over to the right side here to the loop, the Apple loops, and then you get a nice big menu. And I usually just go to jingles, and then I'll sort for the shortest to longest by clicking on the actual beat menu item here. And let's see what we got. We got that. We got that. And I think I'll do the first one. So what you do is just click and drag, hold and drag it to the track that you want it in. And now we have the clip up there, and we'll start it at the beginning. And of course, there's plenty of space right here, but we'll work on that in a second. Let me go ahead and just have a quick listen. Okay, so let me go ahead and close the loops for now by clicking on the icon here so I can see what I'm doing. And what I really want to do is I want to make the track longer so I can see a little bit more detail in it. So I'm going to stretch it out by on the right corner here. There's a slider that lets you expand the clip a little bit. It's not changing the duration. It's just the user interface. The UI is actually changing, so you can see in between the sounds a little bit easier. Okay, so I know I'm gonna have to move this over. So let me click and then shift click to highlight both. I'm gonna drag it over to. I want a little bit of overlap. And let's go.
Hey, how's it going, folks?
Okay, so I like to fade out of the intro right when the voice starts happening. So the way to do fading in and out and controlling the audio in your tracks right here is by using the show hide automation button right here. Once you click on that, you can turn it on and off. You'll see a line here. This is the volume line. And if you want to control the volume of the whole clip, you can just click on it, and it's kind of hard to get it actually right. And then, okay, come on, Eric, you can do it. Come on, Eric, you can do it. There we go. Whoa, that's not what I want to do. Command Z. Okay. There we go. So it's just really fine to get clicked on the exact spot. But like iMovie or other editing, you can control the volume by going up and down. So let's get it back on 0. Where is it at? Right there. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to fade out, and actually I want to fade in too. So I'm going to put a couple in and out points here, and all you do is click on the line to add them. So I'm going to add one there. I'm going to add one here, and I'm going to add one at the end. All right, there. Okay. So I want the clip to fade in. I'm going to drag this down. So it's going to be like a ramp. It's going to ramp up. And then at the end, I want it to kind of ramp down just as I'm starting to talk. And of course, you could put more points in here to make it more gradual, or have more finer control of it. Maybe you want like a little peak or something like that, Up to you, up to your intro track. You can mess around with it and listen to it and see how you like it. And maybe even you don't even want it this loud, so you'll bring it down just a little bit like that. So let's go ahead and have a quick listen here.
Hey, how's it going, folks? ET here.
Okay, so I'm going to move this a little bit closer. Going to highlight one and then click and shift to highlight the other one just a little bit closer, because I kind of like that.
Hey, how's it going, folks? ET here. You're tuned to the...
And you'll notice that it's orange up here. Orange is, light orange. Right now it's in loop, so it'll keep looping and looping, but I'm going to click on that to unloop it. Okay, so we have that done very nicely. And before we move on, I want to point something out to you here. If you move this clip after you set your levels here without a certain thing selected, the sound map you just made is going to stay there. So what you do is you go to the mix, and then you make sure that move automation with regions is selected, because if not, when you move your clip, it's not going to move with it. So now if I move it, it's going to move with it, which is awesome. First time I used it, I was wondering, why is this thing not moving? And it took me a while digging through the menus to figure out exactly where it was. Okay, so we're good to go here. Now let's go ahead and do our outro clip. I'm going to scroll over. I'm going to turn this automation off for now. I'm going to hit the loops button. I'm going to grab another one. I'm going to do the red velvet short. End of the show. chilling at a jazz bar, something like that. Okay, so let's drop it pretty much wherever you want. I'll close the loop container here and put it at the end with a little bit of overlap. I'm going to click my tape head here.
And I always use the spacebar.
Okay, so again, I want the music to kind of blend. So you go ahead and use my automation thing. Oops. Make sure I'm on the right track. So I've got to make sure I'm highlighting the right track. Then I hit the automation. I'm going to put a point here and here and probably one at the end. We'll just do that for now. Then I'm going to have a fade in completely. I might actually move this so it's a little bit more gradual. Might put another one actually. And then also, actually I'll do one more that I'll move here and then kind of taper it off. So let's see how that sounds. Again, this is, trial and error. You got to figure out what sounds best for your podcast and your outro clip or your recording or whatever.
Button or the spacebar, and I always use the spacebar.
Okay, so I might, in the loops here, there's short versions of the clips. That's only 7 seconds. But if you scroll down, there'll be Red Velvet 15 seconds or 30 seconds. So I might actually use a longer version of the clip so I had, a little bit longer outro music. But it, like I said, it depends on what you want. You might even want to go out there and find some Creative Commons music that people allow you to use in your podcast. Just give them some attributions, things like that. So up to you. Okay, so what have we done so far? We've created 3 clips. We've edited the sound. We've taken out my coughs and my burps and all that stuff. Put an intro, outro, control the volume. So now I think we're in a good position to actually export this clip. And like other Apple programs, share is export. So we're going to go up to the top here and hit share. And I always export to the disk. But, up to you. I'm going to export straight to disk because there's something I have to do to my podcast file after I finish that. I want to attach our album art. I want to put my name. I want to put the information about the podcast, links to the show. And all of that fits in the file's ID3 tags. And that's going to be in the next video. But let me go ahead and finish showing you how to export this. So go ahead and hit the export song to disk. Make sure it's at MP3 because the standard for podcasts is MP3. Don't let anybody tell you it's AAC or anything like that. It is MP3. And I would say you don't need to go any higher than 128. It's kind of like the norm that most people... You don't want too big a file, but then again, you don't want too low quality file, yeah? Okay, so I'm going to name this... let's see... Tutorial podcast. You can add a tag if you want. I don't usually add tags, and hit export. So GarageBand's gonna do its magic, and I think it's finished. So let's go ahead and check on the desktop, see what it looks like. Did I do it on the desktop? Where did I save it to? Let me check real quick. Did I do it to the desktop? Of course I didn't. I did it to audio. Let me do it to the desktop. I don't feel like digging for it, so. Tutorial podcast. Okay, let's do that again. MP3 128, that's good to go. Okay, and now we have successfully created a podcast.
Hey, how's it going, folks? ET here. You're tuned to the awesome YouTube podcast. We podcast about YouTube.
Okay, so that's it. That is the GarageBand tutorial. A couple things to remind you to watch out for. The automation button here. Make sure you go into mix and make sure move automation with regions is checked. Another thing, if your mic is not recording right, don't forget to click on this smart controls here. Go to the I for information, and then you can actually set your inputs and volume controls for it. Okay? And I wouldn't use automatic level control. That's just my recommendation. And let's see, when you're exporting, you're sharing, export to disk, always MP3, and 128 is more than good enough. Okay, and save it to somewhere you can find it, of course. Okay, that's it for the tutorial. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Drop them down in the comments. Don't forget, mash that subscribe button. Thumbs up. If you want to support, there's a link down there for a Patreon, or if you want to buy some Amazon stuff, there's my resources button down. I have links to everything I use and recommend for people who want to do YouTube tutorials or things like that. So yeah, go ahead. Okay, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Peace, and don't forget a whole bunch of aloha. Talk to you later.